it, number 10. We've reached double digits. Yay. Today it's all about still seconds, but today it's about the major second. In the last bass bit, I was talking about the chromatic scale and all the fun that can be had by just putting in a delay pedal and using that to practice your chromatic scale. And today we're going to do similar with the scale that is made up out of all whole steps. It's called the whole tone scale. It is used for any kind of dominant chord. It has a dominant sound, and it has we don't know yet. If you don't know yet what that is, don't worry about it. Later in the book, we'll get to it. But it's a dominant sound. It's a sound that has tension in its most basic form. And it has a sharp 5. So the sharp 5 is an interval we will get to. This is just to say it has a lot of tension. And it also has some sort of openness to it. So if you're looking to hear the sound of the whole tone scale, you probably know the Stevie Wonder song, "You're the Sunshine of My Life." In the intro of that, Stevie plays a whole tone scale. And so in the book on page 28, on the bottom, you see examples of 2 whole tone scales written out in scores and in tab, which gives you 1 octave of an E whole tone scale. And I will play that for you within the fingering that I have in the book. So I like to do 3 notes on 1 string, then shift, then play 3 notes on 1 string, then shift again. And now here I'm turning around already because I'm just doing it for 1 octave. And then I'm going all the way back down again. Okay, so it's always the idea, 3 whole steps. Then this next whole step I'm just doing by going 4-1, which, as we know, is a whole step. And then I'm doing 3 again and go 4-1, and that's the end of my octave. So I'm just going to go down again. And then I also have an example of the G whole tone scale. Now, if I play this scale, right, from E to E, it's not really an E whole tone scale per se, because there is really no beginning or end, right? In a sense, the chord symbol would say E7 sharp 5, right? So that's of relevance because my first note will then be E that I'm playing on beat 1 of the bar. But other than that, there are only 2 whole tone scales. There are the ones that contain these 6 notes, and then there are the ones that contain the other 6 notes. Since all the distances between the notes are the same, i.e. 1 whole step, the scale doesn't really have a beginning and an end. Okay, but the chord symbol, of course, will say one of those 6 notes. So 6 notes for 1 scale, 6 notes for the other scale. And the scale that starts with E has the same notes that the scale that starts with F sharp, has the same notes that starts with G sharp. And in symmetric scales like this, you do not have to worry about whether you use sharps or flats. It can get incredibly complicated to do it theoretically correct. We have to mix sharps and flats in those kind of scales, else it gets too crazy, because it would be E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C double sharp, and then D double sharp. Makes no sense because now I'm at the octave, so can I just say E, please, you know? So you have a lot of freedom in naming these notes in the symmetric scales. Not so in other scales, but in the symmetric scales you do. We'll get to all of that later. So whole tone scale. On top of page 29, you see a dot diagram that details how to finger the whole tone scale. So going up, you use the black numbers. Going down, use the gray numbers. And when I'm going up, again, it's always just 3 notes per string. And then you scoot 1, 2, 4, 1, scoot 2, 4, 1, scoot 2, 4. And when you go down, you go 4, 2, scoot, 4, 2, scoot, 4, 2, scoot, 4, 2, open. I'm showing you a little bit of a different pattern on the scale below on page 29, the second one from the top. So here, since I'm not starting on an open string, the fingering is 2, 4, and then 1, scoot, 2, 4, 1, scoot, 2, 4, and then I can flip up here, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3. Okay, so that would be another way to build a whole tone scale over 2 octaves. The whole tone scale has some pretty cool shapes in it. Check this out. 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3. That's not the whole scale. We're missing a note in it. But if you wanted to improvise in it or have some fun with it, then that's kind of a cool shape to mess with. Okay, it's also interesting fingering exercise. And you can also, find any kind of shape and then move that around. You can even go like that and then flip that around. It's all symmetric, so any kind of shape or pattern that you like, you can move it in multiples of the interval by which we are symmetric, which is the whole tone or whole step. Once again, I like to put on a delay pedal and then just having myself a good old time. Shape that's within my scale and then move that up in multiples of the interval by which I'm symmetric in this symmetric scale. So in this case, that would be the major second. So I can move it up by a major second or by multiples thereof, which would mean 2 major seconds. So instead of playing my lick up a whole step, I can play it up a major third. This is a major third. It's 2 whole steps. We'll get to that in a minute. Do that again. So I just go 1, 2, right? So that's one way to think about it. Another interval by which the whole tone scale is symmetric through multiplication would be the so-called tritone. Again, down a couple pages in, we will get to the tritone. But it's just, instead of going, not just moving something up 1, 2 whole steps, I'm moving it up 3 whole steps, and that gives me the D flat. So I can go directly from the G to the D flat by using this D flat. And so I can create fun shapes like this. So with the delay pedal, it's a lot of fun to just keep repeating these things. You can look at these patterns in the book with the dots and find patterns within that. And take pattern paper and write a whole, make dots everywhere on the fretboard where the whole tone scale would be, of one certain. So basically you're going to be marking out exactly half of the notes of the fretboard, more or less, because we're only just skipping 1/2 step every time. So, and then find shapes within that and move them around. So it's a geeky and really fun scale. And again, the sound that we're having when we're using it is a dominant chord with a sharp 5 in it. And if that doesn't mean anything to you, don't worry about it. By the end of the book, you will know. And you can also use a background track or pop it into iReal Pro and just jam with that sound. Much fun to be had with the whole tone scale. I'd love it if you could record yourself a little bit playing around with some of these concepts. Make a recording, send it to me. I'd love to see it, hear it. And today I'm signing off, bass bit number 10. This is Ariane. Cheers.